Hey everybody, super happy to be here with you today. Obviously, I'm not at the shop, I'm in my home studio in Raleigh. Um, but we are excited to bring you guys a little bit of news. I don't know if you have heard or if you've seen on the socials or anything, but Wood Violins is not under the ownership of Mark Wood anymore. Mark's kind of retiring from that side of things. He's still going to be operating his Electrify Your Strengths. He's still going to be performing as an artist and doing all those things. But the job of making violins and getting those instruments out to you is now under still the company Wood Violins, but it is now owned by my friend Kent Dockus. What's
Hey
happening, man?
Matt, how you doing? It's
I'm
great to see you.
Yeah, congratulations on the new gig.
I appreciate it. We're excited about it. This is a big moment for the brand, big moment for our artists, and I think a big moment for our community. And 2026 is going to prove to be a really, really good year. We've got some good things lined up.
So what was the process here? I guess at some point Mark called you up and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about maybe focusing my energies in other places. Do you want to be the guy?"
You know, it's actually kind of a funny backstory. So I've been working with Mark for a long time, and probably about 15 years. And about 10 years ago, we were out to dinner at an Applebee's after an EYS show. And I told him, I said, whenever you're ready to hand this thing off, I want to do it. I want to be the next guy. I want to be, next in line. And he kind of laughed and it's like, all right, well, you're a hot-headed, 15, 16-year-old, whenever it was. And we'll see how you turn out. And it was maybe back in May. He and I had kind of COVID screwed up the entertainment industry. You guys know that. And, I took a lot of different gigs and did a lot of different things. And so we've been still working together for a while. And I was talking to Laura back in May and I said, what are you guys thinking? What's your outlook look like? When do you think he's going to be ready for this? And it just kind of started to happen from there. So it organically happened. We all joke that it's Laura's fault because she called me about something totally unrelated, and then the whole thing just kind of took over from there. So really, in my mind, it started years and years and years ago when I planted that seed, and it's just finally come to fruition now.
Man, that's super exciting. So the shop was in New York City,
Yeah,
and obviously you live in Cleveland. It's going to be a little lower cost of living in Cleveland, and it's an international brand. So,
considerably.
what's it really matter where you live, right?
That's right. Yeah. But the shop move was, it's an interesting one. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They asked me, well, why Cleveland? It's seemingly kind of random other than the fact that you live there. Um, Cleveland has a really unique connection to the Wood Violins brand story. And I think a lot of people don't know this part of the story. Um, so about 20 years ago, Mark was, with TSO. TSO was just kind of getting big. They came to Cleveland at Playhouse Square. There's an amazing performance venue here downtown Cleveland called Playhouse Square. It's one of the best Broadway theater complexes in the country. And the Trans-Siberian Orchestra was playing at the Palace Theater, and it was a small band at the time. It wasn't famous yet, but they got their first radio play in Cleveland, as I understand it. So Cleveland kind of helped set them on the map. And then at that same show, I was there as a little kid. And I remember my dad was sitting to my left, and Mark was playing his Figaro feature where he has his light up violin and he's playing the Mozart piece. And I asked my dad, I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Well, I think it's a violin." And I said, "Well, I kind of like that thing, man. I want to do something like that." So turns out my high school orchestra director from Lakewood High School in Lakewood, Ohio, which is just a suburb outside of Cleveland here, was at the same show, and she had approached Mark after the show to build a Trans-Siberian Orchestra like band in the school. So that started the Lakewood Project. The Lakewood Project was the very first rock orchestra in the country, high school rock orchestra in the country. It was modeled off of kind of TSO style, where you have a acoustic section, it's an octet, you have a five-piece band. But then he and Joe Specialty made the first kind of production run of Vipers for the Lakewood High School Orchestra program. So, my first introduction to electric violins, rock violin, all of that, both in Cleveland at the TSO show at Playhouse Square before they were famous, and then at the Lakewood Project. So when I was in fifth grade and we had to pick an instrument, you go to the school, they have you do band, orchestra, choir, they do all these demos. The orchestra demo was freaking 8 Vipers on stage playing rock music, and immediately I went, holy shit, I want to do that. That whole thing kind of started from there, and then that led towards the Electrify Your Strings program, which also had a lot of roots in Cleveland, Aurora High School. That's where I first met Mark. And so the Cleveland community has really been a big part of his story, but also the brand story and how this whole thing has evolved from here. Beyond that, it's the home of rock and roll. We've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We've got an incredible orchestra community. The Cleveland Orchestra is phenomenal. Our luthier does incredible work in this area. I mean, it's so rich with orchestral talent and rock and roll culture. It's really the perfect blend to have a rock violin company in one place. So it's not really that random beyond the fact that I live here. It's just got some really cool stories attached to it.
That's awesome. So I
Unique.
know that I don't know how many people know the story that, Mark invented this instrument, 800 years ago or something. And I bought my first Viper in 1996, and that was back
Wow.
in the days when you called the shop and Mark answered the phone. And it sort of got to where he was a little busy touring to doing all that, but then he had Joe and Kenny making these Vipers for a long time. And it used to be that you'd order a Viper. If you ordered a custom Viper, it was 6 weeks or so, and then the Viper's in a box on your front porch, right?
That's
And
right.
we were at the NAMM show, gosh, I guess it would have been 6, 7 years ago. And Kenny had to leave to come back to New York for a family thing. And, unfortunately, we lost him in a car accident that night.
Yeah.
And the shop was back behind Kenny and Joe had a house there in Long Island. Shop was back behind their house. And man, Joe just lost his roommate and his best friend. And like, he can't even walk into that shop for, a
Yeah.
minute. Well, the violins are really
Brutal.
popular and the orders started stacking up. And then as that happened, they brought in Jillian to start making Vipers. But, this is not a thing that people know how to do. Like,
Yeah.
there's like 2 guys in the world who know how to do this. And we just lost one of them. Jillian comes in and starts doing great work. But then COVID hits. And then, we lost a paint guy. And then Joe gets sick and we lose Joe. And it's like, how much bad luck can one company have?
Yeah.
And there's
It was
been some
brutal.
heroic work done by the guys who are in the shop in New York right now, trying to get caught up on all these orders. There is a fairly significant delay on getting people their Vipers. And when people call us saying, hey, I ordered this thing a minute or two ago, we tell people the story. They're like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, get it to me when you can. So I think that that backlog has been shrinking. They've been working through that backlog, right? And
That's right.
that's kind of the situation where you're in now. You're just kind of trying to get the tail end of that backlog worked out, and then it hopefully won't be long before we're seeing Vipers just flying out of that place.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because the story is just wild, frankly, and it's that last 5 or 6 years or so following Kenny's passing. It's just you knew Kenny as well as we did, and he's just they were amazing people. So was Joe, and my instrument was built by Joe as well, and I have a Stingray built by Kenny, and it means a lot to me. I still have the signature on the back of my headstock from him, and um, it means a lot. And we actually found this is a fun little sneak peek of something we're working on at the shop. We found a trunk full of necks and wings and stuff like that had Joe's signature on it from before he passed. And so we are working to try to retrofit some of those as kind of a nod to Joe, at some point, because that's a pretty cool thing. Is the very first master builder. It's some of that stuff might still be around. So there's a few little surprises that may come out of the shop. And to your point, the number one goal for us this year is we want every single instrument out the door. We want every single person who's been waiting years and years and years for their Viper out the door. I was similar to you. I was a teenager when I bought my first Viper. I was in high school. I was a sophomore. and still have it, play it every day, and have toured the world with it. And I remember what it's like to unbox your Viper. It shows up on your front porch, and you just don't, you don't know what to do with it at first. It's so different, it's so unique, it's so cool, it's something you've always been waiting for. And I want to continue that feeling towards everybody who has an order outstanding, and want them to understand that I feel it, I get it, I'm with you on it. We don't want that backlog to be waiting any longer than it has been. So our team is cranking things out. This move to Cleveland has increased our production capacity by probably 2 times over. So there's a lot of things that we're doing differently to make that possible and ensure that as we go forward, this doesn't become a problem again. And that certain systems and redundancies are put in place so that, God forbid, that bad luck strikes again, we're not starting over.
Yeah. I think it's super important that people know also that you're not just some guy who came walking off the street and was like, oh, this looks like an amazing business opportunity. The Wood Violins family has been exactly that, a family for a long time. And so many of us Viper players, like we all know each other. We meet up at the NAMM show. We'll call each other as we're driving through. There's a lot of the folks that are MW Rock people. And you've been a part of this, like you said, since you were a little kid. This is not like a business thing for you. This is an emotional attachment, kind of like this is a dream. Like you said, something you've been
That's
thinking
right.
about a long, long time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It means the world to me, and it still doesn't feel real some days. When all this kind of first started, and the ink was wet, and we started getting through this transition plan. Um, there's still a lot of pinch me moments. There's still a lot of pinch me moments as we go through this. But I'm super excited about it. The Mark is, as you know, an incredible mentor, and Mark's leadership through all of this, and his encouragement with me, and his guidance through this, is remarkable. He's played such an important role in my life and in the life of so many others. I mean, all of us who are Viper players, we owe the credit to him for the invention, for the concept, for the execution, for the iterations of it, for the team that he's put together. It's truly a truly remarkable thing. It's been the coolest thing that's ever happened to the violin world, I think, in at least 400 years. So I'm extremely proud to be in front of the brand and to be a part of it and to be side by side with Mark in this moment. As you said earlier, he's not retiring, he's not going anywhere. He is he is probably more rearing to go than ever before. He's got, some new energy behind him. He's got that extra help he's been looking for, and we're ready to just kick the thing into high gear.
Yeah, I mean, you can see I've got 3 of my Vipers sitting behind me here. I think I've owned a total of 7 of them in my life. And it's wild to me that I guess that maybe his first Viper kind of appeared in more or less the modern form would have been in the 1980s, right?
Yeah, it's
And in
crazy.
the 40 or so years since then, everybody has tried, but I haven't seen anybody come up with a design in that time that really rivals what he did. The idea was so ahead of its time, that
Timeless, you might say.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been and every time I show up to a gig, everybody's like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I wish they were pointing at me, but they're not.
They might be talking about your beard, though.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So it's
That's right.
you walked into this company or bought this company, or you've been working for Wood Violins a long time. It's not like you just walked in the door, but you've got this just groundbreaking, earth-shattering idea, and
Yeah.
obviously we want to keep that idea is what brought the company to where it is. Uh,
Yes.
but whenever you got a new guy coming in, you're going to try some things that are new. What are kind of some directions where you want to take Wood Violins that maybe it hasn't been before?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. Um, the first thing we want to get back to an accessible brand. So we want to make it very easy for customers to be able to purchase and get a Viper. That in both our paths to purchase, to make it easier and clearer what our products are, what the different tiers are. I have a 6-string fretted behind me, a 5-string fretless behind me. What's the difference? Why do I need the difference? Why do I need the extended range? Making it a little bit clearer to those people who are kind of starting to convert from acoustic to electric playing, make that distinction clear in the tiers of the product, but also easier to get. easier to understand, easier to get, and faster to receive. So those are the first things. But as we start to iterate in how we manufacture, we want to keep the same handcrafted, made in America quality, but in a way that's standardized. So our goal is to put out the most consistent product we've ever put out at the same high quality or hopefully higher quality than we ever have before. These are very small things that end up being really big things over time. So consistency in the way that we machine our parts. So all of our fingerboards, all of our nuts, we actually design, we make them 100% ourselves. Previously, they might have all been, shaved by hand or carved out of blocks of ebony, those kinds of things. We're now using CNC technology and batch manufacturing systems that will allow us to do 100 of those fingerboards at a time, 300 nuts at a time. So that consistency is like for like as we start going through our builds. It's very similar to how a Gibson PRS type factory system would work, or a craftery system would work. As you know, Matt, there's a lot of nuance in it, and building an instrument is an art that requires a lot of crafting and a lot of skill. So as you provide artisans in the shop with the right tools, they're going to make the art exceptional. And the team we have in Cleveland is doing just that. Joel, who's our master builder now, you guys will get to know him in the coming years. He's been building instruments for a really long time, and he's got a great feel for the product. So, this wasn't a random move. I think a lot of people are like, man, what happened? The whole thing changed. Mark and I have been working together on this transition for the better part of 2025. So our team in Cleveland has been building Vipers simultaneously with the New York shop that shut down at the end of 2025 to ensure that there was a continuity and a shared understanding. This is the only product on the market like this, as you said earlier. There's a lot of tribal knowledge. There's a lot of really unique, things that go into building it. It's not something you can just pick up and tell anybody how to build. So the first thing we had to do is train up that team, introduce some of these standards, and make it more repeatable, which in turn is going to allow us to get these things out the door a lot faster. This is a long way of saying there's a lot of things that are being done differently, but we're keeping the same core concept, the same handcrafted, hand set up instrument that people are used to receiving.
That's awesome. We got a comment here from Madison, one of the MW Rock people. Thanks for taking this on. I'm sure the MW Rock community is out there to help where we can. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got so many texts from people since the announcement came out, like, oh my God, that's amazing. This is going to be so cool. How can I help?
Yeah, same. And it's been such a great thing. In life, I think we're all trying to find our people, our camp, our team, so to speak, who we align with. And as you get older, sometimes that thins out or it changes. And what's so cool about this moment is it's been full circle. I'm seeing, people like, Maddie, thank you for the comment. That's great. We've known Maddie for a long time through MW Rock. I mean, I think we were teenagers when we first met, and that kind of nucleus of people that are in this community and are so supportive of each other is so great. And for anybody who's on who has reached out to me, I sincerely appreciate it. If I've not gotten back to you, it's just because my inbox is unbelievable right now. But I will. My goal is to respond to every single person who's reached out. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. I know another person here, Cassandra Sotos is here, another super, super famous Viper player. She's in Nashville. So, yeah, and she's reached out to me too. We've just, the thing about Wood Violins that you don't see with most other brands out there is the community that's associated with that. And I think Mark kind of being the hub of that.
Yeah.
That's a really special thing. Like, I don't feel like I bought a product so much as like I joined a club almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's an exclusive, I wouldn't say exclusive because it's accessible for everybody, but it feels exclusive in that sense where, you're in a group of people that are like-minded, that are extremely creative, extremely innovative, and but also really diverse, which is the best part about it. You have 4-string Viper players who are playing traditional music. Then you have the Chuck Bontraggers who are also playing traditional music in a totally different way with 6 and 7 strings. And then you have the Marks who are, doing searing solos with distortion. It's just, this instrument unlocks so many things. And with that, it unlocks so many interesting people who play them. And I do think that's the coolest part of the brand. And one of the things we want to be doing going forward is celebrating that in a much more public and horizontal way. because we make a cool product. That's what we do. We enable artists to be hopefully even more creative than they already are because they have a tool at their disposal that breaks their imagination. And our goal is to help take that to another level, put them on display and support them and build that community more publicly in ways that I don't think we've maybe done as we could have done before.
So you're going to be at the NAMM show in Anaheim in what, like 2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. We have a fiddle hang out there, what we call the fiddle hang every year, and we've got a Facebook group. If any of you guys watching are going to be in the Anaheim area for NAMM, it's January 22nd ish, like whenever that is. I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can find that the NAMM Fiddle Peeps group, and we get a group together and we hang out. And there are a lot of Viper players in that group. It's not just a Viper player group, but it's there are a lot of Viper players in that group. So come hang out with us. Maybe toss back a frosty beverage if that's what you like to do. We will definitely be there. Kent and I will be there, and we can hang out. I know Kent would love to meet a lot of you guys and kind of put names with faces. I think you've probably seen a lot of the names in the Viper community, and I think you know a lot of those people too. But there's probably a few you haven't met yet.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm really looking forward to having you check out one of the units that's come off of the Cleveland shop floor here for the first time. So, Matt's going to get a little exclusive action on a new Viper, and we'll see what that looks like. And anybody who's there who wants to try it out, I'm hoping we'll have a 7-string fretted that'll come out with me for everybody to check out.
Dig that. So
Yeah.
7 strings. There was a while where there weren't 7-string string sets available. It used to be Sensicor made those, and we lost Sensicor during COVID, as so many things happened during COVID. And we were a couple of years without access to 7 strings. People would call me up and go, "Hey man, I'm on my last B flat string. Like, what am I supposed to do?" I'm like, "I don't, cross your fingers, don't play too hard or something." But you guys have signed a deal with Prim Strings right now, right?
That's right. Prim is doing incredible work for us. And their Mark is going to be performing at the NAMM booth that Prim has set up. So I can't remember what day. I think it's Friday morning, sometime late morning. I'll confirm that, and we can put a link out to it. But Prim makes exceptional strings. It's a tough thing, when we went with Tomastic and Super Sensitive, there's been iterations over the years of the 6 and 7-string sets, as you said. They're not been quite as durable. They don't hold up to the frets well. I think that's been the hardest part about the 7-string builds, is getting something that holds up to the frets really well. So the Prim strings are made with a steel core in them that stands up significantly better to the frets than the others in the past have. The tricky part was getting the durability of the string, but also to the point where it didn't lose the resonance, and it still was bright, and it still held true in pitch. It didn't wobble like crazy on the B flat strings. And so how he figured it out, I'm not sure. But the guys over in Sweden who run the Prim shop, we absolutely love you guys. You guys do amazing work. We can't wait to expand that relationship. We have them also starting to work through some cello concepts for us too, because we know the Cobra cellos have had a similar problem where the extended range units have been hard to secure as well.
So you mentioned Tomastic. Tomastic does make a 7-string set as well. Prim is what comes on the instrument. But if you're looking for options, and sometimes we like options, that's also a thing. But Prim is, if you buy a Viper today, what comes on it is Prim strings, and those strings have been developed to work with the instrument. They're the right length, because the geometry of the instrument is kind of wild. And so the vibrating length is in a portion of the string that it wouldn't necessarily be in another design of instrument, and the Prim strings have been designed to work with that, right?
Yeah, and it's a unique thing where you can actually pluck a B flat string and it rings out really true, where I think previously it would be a little bit more dead, a little bit, wouldn't resonate quite as much. So not just durable and makes it fit, but I think also a substantial improvement in the design and the engineering of those strings, which, is fun to kind of nerd out over amongst a like mind here. Because in the shop you start talking about these things, and it's like you're you're one of a couple of people nerding out about the string length and is it in the right
Right.
tension and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're amazing strings. So if you get a new 7-string Viper, 6-string Viper, pretty much any of our fretted instruments are going to ship with Prim Strings. A lot of our fretless instruments will still have helicords, or we still have a good relationship with D'Addarios. So there's some really great products that come out on those too.
Outstanding. Well, I guess people are going to want to try to find you on social media.
Yeah,
Kent Dockus personally doesn't have a huge social media presence. Although I
yeah.
think you probably deserve to. You ought to have a bigger social media presence. You might be a little busy now for all that. Where do people find Wood Violins on the socials now? Because I know the Wood Violins Instagram page at some point kind of went away, right?
Yeah, it unfortunately got shut down by Meta. We're not really sure why. And when we reached out, you just get the AI support thing, and it just doesn't really go anywhere. So we started a new one. It's Wood Violins _CLE, and that is our new one. So CLE stands for Cleveland. If you're an Ohio native, you'd know that. So you'll see that it's brand new. I think there's only 1 or 2 things up on it, but we're going to rebuild that little by little here. The Facebook is still there. Wood Violins Community Facebook group is still very active. You can find me at Kent Dockus, on Instagram and Facebook. I am not active. People message me on Facebook. You're better off sending me an email at kent@woodviolins.com. Like you said, it's one of those things you should do, and then you start doing other things, and that's life. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There are only a certain number of waking hours in a day, and you're trying to make
Yeah.
violins with yours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We joke that some nights you're just sleeping on the shop floor, and you're not really thinking about too much of the pictures, or you take the picture and you're like, oh man, I love the way this instrument looks, and I should have posted it, and then I didn't take the right angle or at the right time.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
It's a
Yeah,
whole thing.
that's right. Yeah,
Awesome, man. Well, if people have questions for you, like you said, they can reach you, Kent@woodviolins.com, right?
that's right. Yep, that's my direct email. My goal is to respond to everybody. So if you have questions or any concerns, anything like that we can address for you, I'm available to you.
Awesome. And then there's the,
Yeah.
also that you'll be at the NAMM show. Next
Yes.
week, we'll be hanging out and doing all that stuff. Or next week, I guess 2 weeks. We'll be doing, somebody's trying to call me. Don't call me. I got stuff to do. So yeah, we'll be at the NAMM show in a couple of weeks, and then you're kind of going to be hitting, I guess, a lot of are you going to be at ASTA in San Francisco too?
We're going to try. Yeah, we're going to try to get to ASTA, OMEA, TMEAs. There's a lot of those organizations that we've done a lot of booth presence at in the past or presentations at. So it's on our schedule. We're looking at it, and we'll put out some calendars soon.
Awesome. Well, hey man, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking on this project and keeping this brand that it changed my life completely. So thanks for taking that on.
Yeah.
And, I'm really excited to see where you take this.
Yeah, it's an honor of a lifetime, I tell you what. And being able to work with guys like you certainly makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun. So I appreciate you hosting this. This was a lot of fun. Great to see you. Great to see the color in your beard coming back. And
I got tired of looking at white. I had to put something else in there.
that's right. That's cool. It's rock and roll, man. I love it. That's what the best part about being a Viper player. We're not in the box. You can't put us in a box.
That's right.
We are the box. I love it. It's
Awesome.
so
Well,
great.
thank you, man. I guess you better get back to making some of these Vipers. We got people waiting.
That's exactly right. Yep, that's exactly right. Heading back to the shop.
Well, thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
It's great. Great to hang with you. Thanks, guys.